Hello, I'm Brendan from Retro Game On, and welcome to the very first episode of Retro News Fortnightly! So you may be wondering, what is Retro News Fortnightly? Well, let me tell you, Retro News Fortnightly is a new series that I want to introduce where I talk about all the latest happenings in the retro gaming world over a 2-week time span every 14 days. And why every 14 days, you may ask? Well, the retro gaming world doesn't exactly rotate. The cogs are quite unlubed. So yeah, every 2 weeks I think is a good amount of time to convey the news that you want to hear. Yeah, see, I got there in the end. So yeah, 2 weeks, hopefully 2 weeks will turn out to be a good time span because I've made up all these title cards and whatnot. But anyway, let's begin. For the first story of the day, we're looking at Mattel. Mattel are teaming up with Nintendo, and for the 30th anniversary of Super Mario Bros, they're going to be releasing limited edition cars that are all based around all the franchises you know and love based around the Super Mario Bros thing. Now, this will be really cool for collectors. They're being released later this October, so I'll get in quick and make sure you get them before all the collectors like myself, nerdy or less nerdy or more nerdy, will be coming in and buying these in bulk. I will be looking for them myself, so I hope they come down under, because from memory these toys cost like $5 each, and so but there's different ones for like Dr. Mario, Super Mario World. Let me just cheat here because I've already forgotten. Super Mario 2, Super Mario 3, Super Mario Kart, and there's a lot of different conveys and vans. No actual carts for Super Mario Kart though, unfortunately, but yeah, I think it should be cool. So keep an eye out for those coming this October. Next up we go to Night Trap news, which will probably never happen again, but hopefully it will. Night Trap, if you don't know what it is, was a fairly controversial game released as a launch title for the Sega 32X. This was a very raunchy full motion video game that was eventually pulled from shelves, but eventually it hit circulation again when distribution was figured out. The news relating to it today though is that a HTML5 port is actually in the works. Now you may remember last year there was a failed Kickstarter to release the game for something, I don't know, I didn't really pay attention to it because we didn't have any Retro News Fortnightly. But basically they only reached something like 12% of their goal, which was like $330,000. This is all coming from Gamer Sutra member Dave Voiles, which I'm sure I'm horribly mispronouncing. There's only a working prototype so far, so don't get your hopes up yet, but hopefully we'll see this in the nearest future, as if the internet needs more porn. But this is a game, this is a defining game for the 32X, so I'm looking forward to it for one, and I will be playing it with my door closed. Hey, have you ever been walking around just, you know, playing your Game Gear, and the thought just suddenly strikes you and you think, man, I wish I could play my extensive MSX collection right now? Well, wonder no more, because that is soon to become a reality, believe it or not. The same team who brought us the GG-LSD is now giving us the GG-MSX. So not the most inspiring of names, but it's actually an adapter that they're working on that you can just shove into your Game Gear to play your obviously extensive MSX collection. I know I for one own 0 MSX games, but this is a cool mod nonetheless. It will require a board to be soldered on the internals, and there is no release date yet, but I am looking forward to this nonetheless, because I'm sure MSX computers are quite expensive. I've actually never even looked. But I will be keeping a close eye on this story, and I will tell you as soon as I know more. It does worry me a little bit though, because the Game Gear has a frankly terrible screen. It also has a frankly terrible battery life. So I don't know if this is probably the best handheld for this mod, but the fact that it exists is a cool proof of concept nonetheless. And for the last story of the day, we've got news that Project PSIO is still in development thanks to a post on the Racket Boy forums by one of the team members. Project PSIO, if you don't know, is an adapter that will plug into the parallel port of the early version PlayStations with an SD card inserted into it, meaning that games can be backed up to the SD card or played off the SD card back onto the console, very much like that adapter that was on the Dreamcast not too long ago. Very much like the GG MSX, this will require a small board to be soldered on the internals, but the main problem problem I see is that if you don't have one of the older PlayStations that doesn't have the serial port, you will have to solder that in as well. Otherwise, there is no release date for this yet, but there is a price of $149 Australian, which I thought was pretty cool. They're actually listed in Australian in the FAQ. So maybe they're Australian, maybe they're not, but that's unrelated to the story, I guess. When released though, it is said to support things like DualShock, memory cards, different regions, and all the works you could possibly want. So it would be quite a cool add-on for any avid PlayStation collector like myself, although $150 does feel a bit steep. Nonetheless, I will be following the story like all the other stories, and I will notify you when the thing is actually released, and hopefully maybe I'll get a review copy, but probably not. When I send emails to those sort of companies, they never reply, I guess. I'm just too small fish, you know? I mean, I'm not IGN. What can you do? Anyway, that's the end of the first ever episode of Retro News Fortnightly. If you want to read more, check out all the sources in the description box. Also tell me how you think I went. This was actually quite a bit more challenging than I thought it would be. Next time I'm actually going to write out all the stories and write out dot points for each story, because otherwise you sort of talk about a whole lot of stuff and then you forget about what you've talked, and then you repeat yourself, and it's a vicious cycle. So in 2 weeks I plan to be a bit more organized, and yeah, well, hopefully this will be a solid integral series. This will be part of Retro Game On. It will be great. Everyone will be happy. Everyone will also be great. So yes, so this is the outro, which I still haven't really organized yet because I'm still very much winging this. On my left will be previous Retro News Fortnightly stories when they exist, and on my right you'll see basically other retro gaming videos, be they reviews, whatever, mostly reviews. That's mostly just what I do these days. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you wanna, and yeah, see you later.